What's up, everyone? Welcome into DodgerHeads, presented by DodgerBlue.com, part of the Blue Wire Podcast Network. My name is Jeff Spiegel, joined today by Matthew Moreno and Scott Geirman, here to talk about a subject that I'm going to be upfront and honest, tends to get people a little fired up, but it has been in the news lately. And we're talking about Trevor Bauer and specifically some comments made by Mookie Betts that caught a lot of people by surprise over the past few days. Let me catch us up, Matt, on where we are in this story, and we can talk about what this means for the Dodgers and what this potentially could mean for Bauer moving forward. For those unfamiliar, early in October, Trevor Bauer settled his lawsuit with the San Diego woman who accused him of sexual assault. Both parties ended up withdrawing their lawsuits. Both sides acknowledged that Bauer had never paid or offered to pay a single cent to the accuser. He was never charged with a crime. The application for a restraining order against him was denied, although MLB's investigation did lead to a 194-game suspension being upheld by an independent arbiter, and the Dodgers did ultimately release Bauer based, quote, on the information they had in the moment, according to Andrew Friedman. That was the backstory to what has taken place in the last month. Since then, Mookie Betts was asked about this and whether or not an MLB team would consider signing him. Betts responded, quote, "It's something to think about." His quotes to the LA Times and to media, I should say, continued, quote, "My experience with Bauer is not anything remotely close to what everyone else's experience is. I love him. I think he's an awesome guy. The personal things, I have no control. I have no say. Obviously, nothing ever came from it. He's an awesome pitcher. He's a great guy, somebody who wants to take the mound every fifth day. But at the end of the day, I don't make the decision. That's a decision that's not as simple as baseball." Matt, regardless of where you stand on Bauer, I think these quotes from Mookie Betts are interesting, fascinating. This was definitely a decision that he made to say the things he said about a guy as controversial as Bauer. But what do you make of everything that's transpired in the last month, and then maybe more specifically these quotes from Mookie?
Yeah, we're not here to litigate, obviously, what has gone on and what is still sort of going on for Bauer in terms of some of the other allegations he's facing. I was surprised that
Yeah.
Mookie, honestly, even kind of dipped his toe into this water, if you will, with Bauer, because it, like you said, it has been such a lightning rod scenario, and understandably so. And honestly, Bauer, like in general, even at the time that the Dodgers signed him, before any of these allegations came forward, like there were some other issues that people weren't happy with, some of the things he'd done on social media, and so already, kind of the Bauer's presence, his personality, if you will, like has been controversial. And so
Yeah.
Mookie, who I think is relatively media savvy in terms of, not necessarily getting caught up in his comments wanting to become billboard material, for lack of a better term. During the season, he was asked when the Dodgers were playing the Braves, he was asked about the MVP race and Ronald Acuna. And he said, he's a great player, nothing against him, but I'm not out there playing against Ronald Acuna. Like, it's the Dodgers against the Braves. And so to see him now sort of make these comments, I guess it could be interpreted two ways. One, like it was just a misstep by him, or
Yeah.
two, he does really feel strongly, and like he said, I love him and all that other stuff. Like, and he just chose, now is the time for me to sort of go to bat for one of my former teammates.
Yeah, Scott, for me, like when I think about this story, everything that's happened, I think, has been in Bauer's favor over the last couple of months. The lawsuits getting dropped, him not having to pay anything, the restraining order being denied when it was, like the suspension getting reduced, like all of these things, I think have been positives for Trevor Bauer. And yet, regardless of if you think, oh, Bauer's innocent and he's been railroaded, if you're in that camp, you still, like, I don't think anybody can deny that he's a controversial guy. And he was controversial before all of these allegations came out. And to Matt's point, that's what makes Mookie Betts' comments so interesting to me, because I don't think it's an accident he said these things. And I don't know Mookie personally. I'm just, to Matt's point, every piece of information we have on Mookie Betts, the person, the interviewee, the things he chooses to say or not to say, leads me to believe that he didn't wake up and accidentally say, "I love Trevor Bauer" to a media, knowing how that was going to be received. It seems to reflect a real relationship that he had with Trevor Bauer and a choice that he made strategically right now, as free agency is on the verge of starting, to potentially help a guy out that he really likes. So what do you make of all of this?
Yeah, no, to just what you both said, exactly, Matt. I echo a lot. Mookie Betts is incredibly media savvy, but also Jeff, a lot of stuff has been very positive for Trevor Bauer. In his sense, he's media savvy as well. So the stuff he put out definitely paints him in, winning this, his side of the, public perception or how this has gone. So, but I can't break all that down. I'm not an expert on it, but I can tell you that Mookie Betts understood what he was doing with this. He's been outspoken and with causes, personal, not personal issues up, very, some very big issues. In 2020, he was very outspoken there. He had a lot of stuff to say. But Mookie Betts understands how to, convey his message across without being too strong. And this was one that we'd never really seen him do before. We'd never really seen him speak about one player, especially, Trevor Bauer, what's going on. It's a pretty strong endorsement of Trevor Bauer as a person. I love him. Although that entire quote is, paints him in much more of a positive light than I think anyone on the outside of MLB would think. But I also don't think it's a very different stance from what a lot of players in MLB think of Trevor Bauer. I don't have names to exactly drop there, but we've seen those a bunch, on social media, or players even talking about it, hinting about Trevor Bauer, that the public has a much different perception on who he is than I would say a majority of players actually do have. But it's just very different for Mookie Betts to have that stance. I'm not going to say that it's, right, wrong. Take it for, whichever you think of, both of of Trevor Bauer. I just don't think it's really outside of what Mookie Betts has done. So for me, as a Mookie Betts fan, of knowing what is his path over the last few years with the Dodgers, very out of left field.
Yeah, out of left field. He plays right field, but that's
right
true.
field.
Even more so out of left field. It's even
more
surprising that it's coming out of left field. Let me ask this, because Mookie said all of that, and then at the end of the quote basically said whether or not he comes back is not a decision as simple as baseball. I think we would all agree Trevor Bauer will never pitch for the Dodgers again. As much as the Dodgers could potentially need some starting pitching, I think we can agree he won't be a Dodger. Scott, I'll come to you first, just quickly. Do you think Trevor Bauer is on a major league roster next year?
Yes.
Wow. Okay, Matt, that's surprising to me. I think it's a no. I think there's still the baggage that comes with, the controversy that comes with. I've said before, I don't think Major League Baseball is as ruthless as the NFL, where the NFL will look past anything that a person does if they will help them win. I just don't think baseball owners culturally sort of fit that same mold. So it's a no for me. Where do you stand, Matt?
It's tough. I'll say no, but sometime after opening day, he's with an organization. Maybe somebody gives him a chance to sort of, go to extended spring training or type thing, and the minor leagues, and ramp up and see what he could potentially become. But even then, I mean, I still think the odds are against him, and I'm pretty sure it was Bill Shaken. It was definitely the LA Times before this Mookie article with these quotes. They were speaking with either former executives or current executives, or just people around, or the game of baseball, and there was still a lot of doubt as to whether an MLB team would end up signing him for this upcoming season. And so I don't necessarily see it, but if it is going to happen, I think it happens, maybe later into next year, when maybe a team can see they're kind of short on pitching and they decide to give him a flyer.
Yeah, and I'm remembering his intro press conference with the Dodgers. Bauer had so many chances to just, quote, say the right things and make people happy by saying, hey, I've made some mistakes. And he just intentionally chose not to do any of those things. And again, there's lots of people watching this that don't think he's ever done anything wrong and didn't have anything to apologize for. Regardless of whether you did, there was an expectation that he might apologize. He didn't. I think that's the piece to me. The franchise that's getting him, there's no chance Bauer is going to be apologetic for anything that has taken place in the last couple of years. He's maintained his innocence, and if he's 100% right, then he probably shouldn't apologize for things that he doesn't believe he has done. I'm just saying those are the types of things that I think a next franchise would want him to do, is to stand up in front and say, hey, I've made some mistakes. And based on every bit of information we have on Trevor Bauer, I don't think he's going to do that. So will an owner sign off on signing him knowing that there's almost going to be this defiance that comes with him? That's where I'm skeptical. And again, none of us are making a value judgment here and saying that that's right or wrong. that teams do that. We're simply making predictions based on what we do know and based on kind of the information in front of us, which, to be honest, has way less to do with Trevor Bauer and way more to do with the culture of Major League Baseball and the owners involved. Let us know what you guys think in the comments below. I know this is going to be a lively video with lots of comments. Please keep it appropriate, keep it respectful. We would greatly appreciate that. That's Matthew Moreno. That is Scott Geirman. You can check out their stuff on DodgerBlue.com. If you're new here, please subscribe, ring the notification bell. And if you're a podcast person, check out the DodgerHeads podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google, wherever you get it. We would greatly appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of your day, folks. And as always, go Dodgers.